Good afternoon, my Dungeon Boss brethren. We are here today to talk about our status so far in the game, how far we've made it, how long it's taken. This video is to cater to new players and to people who might be looking to return. This is to give you my experience thus far, kind of where things fall, how they're going versus where they started, ultimately to give you some insights in terms of if you want to stick it out, keep playing, get back to maybe where you were if you previously played the game before, or if you're new to the game, to see if this is something that is for you and you want to continue pursuing. Um, so I started playing about 6.5 weeks ago. So right off the bat here, let's have a look at that. So 6.5 weeks ago, I'm currently level 60. So does that mean that you can go from 0 to 60 in 6 weeks? Maybe, maybe not. That will depend upon your play style. Conservatively, and for folks who don't do a ton of grinding, I'm thinking 6 weeks you would easily get to about level 40. Now, whether or not that's enough to ultimately satiate your desire for mobile gameplay, I don't know. What I do want to show you is how far I've come so far as of level 60. So, one of the first things that I want to point out is that past probably about level 20, it gets incredibly, incredibly difficult to keep up with the Joneses, if you will. Except for the Joneses is the game itself and your own internal ambitions. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is if you look at my hero roster, I do not have a single hero at level 60. As of recently, for the last week, I have been running some goblins. I've been running Nub Nub, Miko, and Squint. She's down here somewhere. They have been getting up to level 57. I've been running those three with the particular hero of the day that I'm using to run through their story. The reason being why I'm just running those three and nobody else. Ultimately, they're part of my tower mechanics, and they're also a major cornerstone of my PvE runs as well. The reason that I do not have any maxed out heroes yet at player level 60 and character level 60 is because of this here. Twofold. One, these experience potions are tough to come by. So if I wanted to get everybody up to current player level, all of my 5,000 XPs, they will be gone. So just for a little bit of insight in terms of how fast those things go, let's take somebody else who needs to be brought up to speed to my goblins level here. So if I'm going to be playing goblins, I would need to be running a team of 4 goblins. So the one that I've been leaving off here is Gretel. Gretel's been left behind in favor of bringing in a fourth person for the um, my normal storyline runs. So I want to take Gretel from 51 to 57. We're currently at 48 potions. And you can see that there goes 10 of them right there, just on Gretel. So you can see that if you want to take this and extrapolate it out to 60, I probably got maybe 2 heroes in me that'll get to 60, and then the third one will probably sputter out. So I've been saving these explicitly for my own purposes as far as this channel goes. I do want to be able to show meaningful full ascension deep dives as well as the PvP environment as well. So I've been very, very, very stingy on these and trying to keep things as simple as possible and not overspend. On top of that, the gold, I am building up a little bit of a stockpile now with 14 million. That will only go so far. So I am not at a point at where gold is bountiful in terms of how I acquire it and how I spend it. But again, for let's just say for the sake of argument. So we leveled up Gretel from 51 to 57. We go from 14 million to, I was already short a level as it was. Just catching her up to speed. Keep an eye on the numbers. Um, so what? I didn't see the high end number, but let's call it roughly a million. But you will experience that in multiple areas as well. But just looking at one particular hero, if I just grab um, Miko, for example. Miko's next upgrade is call it 25,000. That's 100,000 and counting for every level. So to bring him up, that's basically 600,000. That's going to be a million to bring Miko up to speed here. So um, matching wits with the money and the leveling system, you're gonna have a hard time doing it. So I don't mind where I'm at. I'm not trying to keep a particular team at player level. I was able to do that up through about level 20 or so, and then it started to taper off. So if you're frustrated that you can't level up your heroes, that is normal. What I recommend is ultimately just cycling 2 heroes at a time through your storyline runs, just to try and keep the floor as leveled out as possible. Pick 2 heroes. Generally speaking, I'm going to suggest at least one fast hero and then one really strong hero that can ultimately get through your lower level dungeons with one shot kills. That way, whoever you're bringing along for the ride, we're not cycling around to too many of their individual attacks. So that's kind of where I'm at with my roster. If you just want to scroll through my roster here, we have a few people that are at the 50s, and then everybody else is kind of below that into mid 40s and upper 40s. And then I have a lower echelon of people that don't get used that are lower 40s and a few upper 30s. The only person that is really low level is Meyer. Meyer, I am saving for a different video to document how much the stars and ascensions increase stats along the way. So he will be left over for other purposes as well. I am also keeping him for a lack of ascensions because I like this screen here with the evos, and currently the only way I found to get to this screen here is if somebody needs to be ascended. If I ascend every single person, I will never be able to get to this combined evo screen and be able to keep stock of where I have for evos here. The reason I want to keep these here is for usage elsewhere. But ultimately, I want to keep track of the celestials as well, um, and be able to ultimately just look at these. So if there's ever any in the shop that I want to buy, like if this one here, the Shadow Evo ever comes up in the shop, I might want to buy that one because I don't have that many of them. So that's something that I like to be able to see, um, and that's how you might want to spend your gems. So let's talk about gems for a minute here. I have not personally spent any of the gems that I've acquired so far. So, yes, I have 53,000 gems. If we look at my player profile, um, think there is a spot here. There's a thing called spending gold, I think. Player spending golden gems, I think. So I have technically spent 5,200 gems. These here are my son. I didn't actually spend them. I've been keeping gems on hand in the event that a particular event rolls around and we want or need gems. Or if I run into a spot where there's something really good in the shop, once I've advanced out everybody else. As far as I could storyline, then I'll start looking at how I'm going to spend those. Truthfully, I've only been playing the game for 6 weeks. I'm not sure where and how much I want to spend my gems yet, so I'm very much um, you know, a student of the grind, so I don't mind not spending those. Other people might be less inclined to be able to hold off on that. Again, I've experienced this entire game the entire way through before this dungeon boss respawn came up. I don't need the same level of fulfillment that others might need by getting that person maxed out, fully ascended, whatever it might be. So I'm not worried about spending gems right now. Again, for you and your gameplay, that may be a little bit different for you. So, what I'm most looking forward to in this particular game here is the events that do come out. I am waiting for guild events to roll around so that I can contribute to the guild and we can compete as a guild against other guilds. As far as I know, those have not shown up yet. I'm just holding out for that time. As far as PvP, you can have a very meaningful PvP career, certainly by level 60 if you want. I do not personally do PvP recreationally. That is because I'm working on my heroes right now. So my daily gameplay and how I got to 60 in 6 weeks is really just going through and doing every single story. If you go through my entire roster here, every single person is 4 stars or higher. So I basically just went right down the list, did everybody that I could. Balog should be, I guess I missed Balog. So few slip through the cracks here and there. No big deal. But essentially, I've gone through and upgraded everybody that I can. And my goal is to just go through and get the 5-star stories on everybody um, before I move on to anything else more serious in this game. Once I don't have a spot to grind heavily every single day, then I will move into doing things like PvP and other fun things, if you will. But my current game plan is to work on getting to player level 80, fully ascending everybody, and then ultimately getting everybody's character level up to 80 as well once that tapers off and I don't have to try and chase it anymore. Um, so that is a personal goal of mine. Again, you may have other goals. If you're worried about the grindiness of the game, it's possible this game may not be for you. And ultimately, you have to set your own goals in terms of what you want to get out of a game like this. So I look at it this way here. When I play Candy Crush, for example, what do you get out of Candy Crush? Most people, absolutely nothing. You could be stuck on the same level for a week and then you finally beat it and you get a little hit of dopamine about that. That's fine. No judgment whatsoever. Same thing applies to this game here. What do you actually get out of it? I am moderately OCD. I like to go through and fully level up characters. When I would play Final Fantasy, I would sit out in the open forest or wherever I was, and I would kill low level bad guys over and over and over and over and over until I was level 30 in a level 10 environment, and then I'd go through, stomp a few bosses, and feel great about myself. Same thing, I would grind those characters out to max level to try and fight super bosses. It's the same basic premise here. I like collecting things. I like games that are all about collecting and roster building, and so I don't mind going through, taking a hero, and running. In this case here, let's look at Solaris, who I'm currently working on. So Solaris for level 5 story, I got to do 250 water enemies. That doesn't take long at all. You can do that in just a few dungeons if you want. And then 100 dungeons or PvP. So you do have the option to, like I said, do recreational PvP and make progress toward these so that it is possible. And then 50 specific water dungeons. The way that I typically do my normal routine is every morning when I start playing, I will go into campaign. I just start at the lowest level. Um, in chapter one, which for me is Catacombs of Muck, because the first two are sort of intro levels that don't let you auto run. And I'll just roll through those until I get to about Act 5. Usually around Act 5, I will have hit at that point halfway through of the generic dungeons, run 100 dungeons. At that point, in order to not waste my efforts, then for Solaris, for example, I would go back and specifically backtrack a little bit and say, well, at this point here, so I'm not doing any more leveling than I have to. I will run exclusively just um, a water dungeon at that point. The one that I choose, I believe, is the last one here. Icy Hollow is what I'll run. I picked that one because it is just a 3-room dungeon. I can burn through those quick enough. But every day is like that, and so I will run those when I have time. I like to sit and just have this thing run on auto run when I'm eating lunch, when I'm eating dinner, when I'm sitting around on the couch. I watch Netflix, plug to Netflix there. Thank you for making this game, yada, 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 yada. But I will sit and I will just have that next to me and I'll keep running dungeons. I've gotten used to it enough where I have sort of an internal clock. I know about when to back out and check to see my progress, things like that. But I don't do a lot of active play. You see that even at level 60, sorry about that. Even at level 60, I've not beaten the campaign yet. Now, there's other reasons that I haven't done the campaign. My son is really, really, really looking forward to fighting the root of all evil, and I want him to be there when we ultimately do it. So I want to make sure that I have the heroes to do it, and I want to make sure that he can play it and actually experience that and have fun. Because if anything, my son enjoys the game far more than I do. He will fight Kang and Sulfurious and the Lich exclusively, just those three, for an hour, and he is perfectly fine. And so, like I said, you get out of the game what you want out of the game. And for him, it's killing boss characters, and he really wants to kill the root of all evil. So that's ultimately why I'm working on my Goblin team, so I have a team to go in and do that fight. But it doesn't take effort to succeed in this game. Now, the total number of hours that I put in, I do not know that. So, do I log? I probably log a good 3 to 4 hours per day. That may seem excessive. I get it. Like I said, I am a grinder. I like to grind, and like I said, it doesn't take much out of my day, and it doesn't take effort for me to sit down and play. Unlike if you played like Clash of Clans, you have to sit and really meticulously work on strategy for attacking a particular camp if you want. That there, you have to hold the thing in your hand. You have to be precise about what you're doing. This here, I'm running all these dungeons on auto, except for in a few instances where I'm, feeling like advancing the story just a couple more chapters or a couple more dungeons. Then I'll sit down and I'll play a little bit. Or when I'm doing some PvP for a different video, or doing the tower runs, that's the time that I actually sit and play. So, conservatively speaking, are you going to get to level 60 in 6 weeks if you play? Probably not. Will you get there in 12 weeks? Absolutely. It doesn't take much to advance here. Um, I said you just have to determine what your goal is with the game. My goal is to get to a spot where I don't necessarily need to grind, and that will not happen until the stories are done. Once the stories are done, then I'll find the next chapter in my own adventure there. So the next update that I will do as far as this particular status and where we're at and how we're doing will be when I hit player level 80 probably, which my guess the way things have been going will end up being probably another 2 months or so. So don't hold your breath on it. I'm going to keep doing the other series that I have. Once I get a bunch of those all sorted out, then we'll start looking at some other content. But for those of you that are wondering if the game is for you, like I said, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight in terms of what sort of progress you make and what sort of effort you have to put in. Yes, it is a grind, but any game you look at, there's pros and cons. The nice thing about this game, there's no stamina. You don't have to stop playing if you don't want to. You don't have to wait for things to recharge. I know for some people that was a good thing because it ultimately gave them a reason to stop playing, move back to a different game and catch up there. It's all about what you want to do. The lack of microtransactions has been an absolute dream for me, knowing that anything that anyone else done, I can do as well. Anything that I'm doing, you can do as well. All it takes is a little bit of elbow grease, and you pay with your time instead of your money. And I'll take that all day long. So, if you have any questions about my experience, what I've liked and what I've disliked, feel free to reach out to me. I'll certainly give you honest opinion. I'll certainly, not judge you for anything that you like or dislike or even hate about this game. To each their own. Like I said, I played the original game for a few years, and I enjoyed it the entire way through until the very end when it, you know, creatively went a direction that I just could no longer, essentially support. So, will this game go that direction? I don't know. Hopefully not, or at least hopefully not soon. But that is the only update that I have for you for today. We will resume on Tuesday with our regular scheduled programming with another thrilling episode of the Tower Tuesday. Until then, Darth Craig signing off, and I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching, and remember, I make YouTube videos for the American working man, because that's what I am, and that's who I care about.